Not to be like the world, and not to be like the great majority of American Christians, but to be like Jesus Christ. I don't know why you're clapping. I'm talking about you.
What's wrong with you people? I'm serious.
You can't say amen, you ought to say ouch.
Hello, humble bees. Welcome to Tulips and Honey.
I am joined today by my super sweet co-host, Becca, and we have a very special guest with us today that we're going to be interviewing. Emma, you are the writer of the My Redemption for His Glory blog. Did I say that correctly?
That's right.
Awesome. And thank you so much for joining us today. And you're going to be sharing about your testimony. And we are really, really excited to have you join us.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I have been so blessed by your blog, and I love your emails too that I've been getting. That's so awesome.
Sweet. That's great. Great feedback, because I actually don't get like a ton of feedback, but it is very encouraging when I can hear it that I've been encouraging others. So
yeah.
For sure.
And I love your posts, even on Instagram and stuff too. And she's been so kind to reach out to us and encourage us with our blog. It's just been really awesome to connect with her.
It sure has. Yep. I love it. You share all of our stuff and you've been so supportive.
Yes.
It's really, really nice to have that. Sometimes podcasting can be scary. So it's a little bit of some support, especially from bloggers. One of the reasons why I was really excited to have you on is because when we have bloggers, people can read our words, but they really can't put a sound to it, like our personality to it. So
exactly,
I have had so much fun bringing on bloggers to the podcast and giving their readers an opportunity to really like get to know their personality a little bit better.
Yeah.
So you probably know, because you listen to the podcast, we like to start with the testimony. So do you want to run us through like how you grew up and what happened to bring you to the place of the foot of the cross?
Sure. So I actually have my testimony on my blog already. I published it and I'm just going to read it for you right now.
Sure. And I'll link to that below, listeners, if you want to find that and share it with anyone that you know needs to hear the gospel. So I'll make sure to link to that.
Okay, here it goes. As I move forward through the ongoing process of sanctification, I now look back with disgust at how I lived before submitting to Christ. On the outside, I likely appeared to be a next to perfect goody two-shoes. In reality, though, I was a rule follower, not a Christ follower. I avoided breaking rules in order to maintain a good reputation for myself. It was all for the praise of my name, rather than the glory of God. My heart was evil, deceitfully wicked, actually, as Jeremiah 17:9 says. Sin was my ruler. I lived for myself, to please my sinful, selfish nature, and that life was unstable at best. My foundation, the one I'd built for myself, was shaky, unsure, and unreliable, and I struggled with major insecurities daily. Though I was never clinically diagnosed with either anxiety or depression, they plagued me throughout my later years of elementary school and into my freshman year of high school. There were numerous occasions where I found regular student life to be too much to handle, and I distinctly remember my first panic attack at school. How could I get so flustered over the trivial, normal tasks of a student? The answer is simple. I had built my life around becoming the perfect student, daughter, peer, etc. I craved perfection. It was an idol. My grades determined my happiness. My sense of fulfillment was guided by how I performed and what other people thought of me. God was someone I talked to occasionally, but I didn't care enough about what he had to say, and I refused to entrust my life to him. However, throughout high school, I gradually became convicted of my outrageous, arrogant pride and began truly believing the word of God. Christianity was starting to be more to me than just the religion of my parents. It was clear to me that if the Bible was true, I had a problem. Keeping in mind the standard of God's law, Romans 3:23 explains the obvious. For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. And in Romans 6:23, we are told that the wages of sin is death. If I carried on living in rebellion to the Lord's commands, I was going to die and find myself gnashing my teeth in hell. No matter how many good things I tried to do, or whether I called myself a Christian or not, God is the just judge of the world, and he would not let a sinner into his holy presence in heaven. He cannot. That would be in total opposition to his utterly sinless nature. But God demonstrated his extraordinary love for the world through the death of Jesus Christ. As Romans 5:8 says, "While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. His blood sacrifice was and is the fully sufficient atonement for my wretchedness." What loving kindness, what mercy he has shown me, that the Lord even allows me to live another day, let alone the fact that he has granted me this precious gift of eternal life. It is beyond my understanding why he chose to rescue me. So now I trust not in my works, but in the redeeming work of my Savior. To put Ephesians 2:8-9 in my own words, it is by grace I have been saved, through faith in Christ. This salvation has not come from anything I've done. I did not earn it, and I certainly do not deserve it. In his awesome grace, God has given me this wondrous gift so that I cannot boast about my achievements. No, they are less than rubbish compared to his character and what he has done. All the praise, glory, and honor belong to the one who has conquered sin and death, to him who has risen from the grave, who stands victorious over Satan's schemes. As for me, I continue on in the new life he has blessed me with, desiring that my heart and mind be further redeemed from my old ways of living. I turn my gaze from the temptations of sin and offer myself as a living sacrifice, a joyful and willing slave to righteousness, a faithful servant of the Lord, because he is my sustainer and king, and he is most trustworthy. I look forward to the day we will meet face to face in complete perfection.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
That is
That's
great.
so great. I think it's the first time we've had someone read on here.
Yeah.
That's funny, and I love it.
I do too. Yeah, I think that's really exciting. One of the things that I was really moved by whenever I was reading it was, oddly enough, whenever I was in third grade, I was actually diagnosed with depression and anxiety. Mm-hmm. And so they had been trying to figure out what was wrong with me because I kept having stomach aches. And as young girls, we tend to like internalize those kind of emotions.
Definitely.
You know? Whereas young boys, they get it out, like they fight, they get in trouble, they get, you know, they push it outwards, whereas we tend to like hold it in.
That's true.
I'm sure there's exceptions to that rule, but so they did like they sent a camera down my throat to try to like check out my tummy.
Did endoscopy.
Yeah, there you go. And they thought that maybe I had cancer or something like that, and so they were trying to figure out what was going on, why the stomach aches wouldn't get fixed. And when they tested everything else, they finally thought to like ask, "Where's her dad?" Like,
did they really?
Yeah, like what's going on at home that could be causing these issues? Like, I felt so bad for my mom. I missed 37 days that year, and she had doctor visit after doctor visit. I can't believe they didn't fire her at work. Like, they thought something was just wrong with me. I was allergic to things. They checked all of that, and it was just anxiety. It was social anxiety and depression. And so I was so anxious all the time, and I couldn't pay attention in class, and I couldn't get good enough grades, and I couldn't get like to the point where I was able to even just be like a normal kid.
Yeah. That's like my experience in middle school.
Yeah, exactly. And so I really love that you added that in there, that bit that like it's so much worse whenever you don't understand. I can't even imagine if I didn't grow up in a religious household, but if somebody had been telling me like, oh, and also, by the way, don't sin, it probably would have added a lot.
Oh, I know. Yeah, so Emma, did you grow up going to church?
I did, yes. I grew up in a Christian household, and both of my sets of grandparents they attend church. They would definitely call themselves Christians. And so I was always brought up in that like church environment, the very like Christian. I went to a Christian school as well. before I was homeschooled in high school.
Oh, you got homeschooled too?
Oh, nice.
I was for high school, and that was actually a really good experience for me.
Yes.
So.
Oh, it's great to have those options.
Yeah,
Yes.
Becca was homeschooled. She was homeschooled for half of her childhood.
Yeah, until up close to 5th grade. But I wish I could have done
Nice.
homeschool or tutoring or something different from middle school on, because I suffered with depression in there too.
Oh, were you
yeah.
the later half of, like, from what time were you homeschooled?
So I started from the beginning, like preschool on, from preschool to 5th grade. I was homeschooled. So I was really young.
Yeah. I honestly don't think there's any advantage to sending off the homeschoolers to high school, because
they won't transition.
So well. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it is a rough transition for sure, but it's like the culture and all the ideas that you're getting thrown at you.
Yeah,
overwhelming.
It's so, and you aren't really mature enough or equipped enough to handle it.
Yeah.
So I recommend that if there's a homeschooling family who thinks that they should send their 9th grader off to high school, I would be like, just, ask yourself why. And is that really, really the most important thing?
Right.
Walking across the stage it's not worth that. It's not
right. If that's
they have homeschooling graduations now. Like when Kayla
actually I just did that too.
Did you? Oh, that's so
I
cool.
would love to see a picture. If you could send me a picture in the email of you graduating, I promise I won't show anybody if you don't want me to, but I just love that. And I can show my daughter, because she's homeschooled. She'll be really encouraged by that. I can't even wait to tell her that I got to talk to another homeschool kid on your show. not that you're not a kid now, you're a grown adult, but that you homeschooled when you were in high school. She's gonna love that idea, because
I super wish I had that available. Yeah, well, I'm sure I had that available, but I just didn't know it. Just finished out school.
Yeah, it's different. Whenever I was in school, I had a friend that was actually, he went to public school, and then they took him out and they homeschooled him, and in just the last year to graduate, he got put back in, because there was no program in Texas at the time for it where he was at. Yeah, so I don't know if it changes or if it's gotten better or not, but I know that they do really cool ceremonies now. And I think that's awesome.
We have some around here that connect with the schools still in some way, so they still will walk or still be part of their sports teams.
to do that,
So Emma, you're in Canada.
I am.
Canadian. So viewers, you might hear her saying about or out.
Oh goodness! And I like how you said plague too. You said plagued. You said plagued, it really beautiful.
Or process. How do you say process?
Oh, you're gonna make me
process.
I'd probably say process.
Oh, I love that. It sounds so sophisticated.
It does.
Wow.
My little southern ears. I'm over here yeehaw, y'all.
I know, right? My California Valley girl over here.
Yeah.
But I'm so excited to hear Canadian. Yeah, so sometimes in her writings, you'll see her spell things differently than we do, like honor, savior,
so
color.
Yeah.
It is. It looks so much better than the way we do it. So
it looks
that, at least in my opinion.
Wow.
But where you're growing up, is it more liberal where you're at?
I would say I live in a fairly small town, so I would say it's fairly conservative so far as the levels of conservative or liberalism.
Right.
But just as I grow in spiritual maturity, I do see a lot more stuff where I'm like, what is the reason that we are doing this? Or I have a lot more questions for the church and Christians in general. And I think a lot of people would be like, just be quiet.
Yeah. Did you always grow
she's
up?
in a cage stage here, maybe.
I know.
Did you always grow up in the Reformed faith?
I would say when I was very little, my family attended a Christian Reformed church.
Oh, neat.
So I was definitely from a very young age brought up in that, but I never recognize that I was actually Reformed.
Right. Yeah, you just knew it as biblical.
And so, yeah, that's right.
Yes.
And then once I got onto like Instagram, especially, I think, then I was like, oh, actually, you know what? I think I am like a Calvinist.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. Yeah. I love what you said to whenever we posted that, like the first rule of Calvinism is don't talk about Calvinism.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, I guess I'm Reformed then. I thought that was so cute. Oh my goodness. I love that. Yeah. But you know what? It's so funny to hear that, because if you grow up in an area like that and you don't know that there's any other option, I had the opposite where, like, whenever I was going to church from 14 and up, I had no idea there was such a thing as Calvinism.
Me neither. Never heard of
it. They don't talk about it.
And they would, if they did,
from your church.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes, seriously. And if you talked about it, they would be like, "We don't talk about it at all. Like, don't even read his stuff." That's what the thing would be.
Yeah, they didn't consider it a part of the Christian faith. Like, it was actually something that whenever I did get saved and I started to started to look into these things, I still didn't know what it meant, and I didn't know anything about it, but I'm like listening to like Paul Washer, and I'm reading a bunch of Charles Spurgeon stuff, and I still have no idea what Reformed, they're using all these words, but they're using a lot of words I don't know at that point. I'm like, I don't know what any of these words mean, so it didn't matter. But I started to see people saying things about how like Calvinists are not really saved because they believe a different gospel. And I thought, well, that's not good. I have a lot of friends that call themselves Calvinists. I need to figure out what this is so that I can like figure out if I need to like share the gospel with these guys. So I read the Institutes myself, and already having leaned that direction because it's biblical. When I read them for myself, I was like, there's nothing in here that's unbiblical. Right. I don't understand.
Yes.
So I went through a very slow process. I missed the cage stage situation because I was so slow. But I did have to like deal with the like telling people about it and just assuming they're going to agree. Like, well, of course you're going to believe me, right? Because this is biblical. And when people would be like, well, no, actually, it's that our glorified bodies, we get them here now. Real conversation. I literally had that conversation. Our glorified bodies are here now, so we need to always be healthy.
Are you still aging?
Later. Yeah. I don't know. I was so surprised. It really surprised me.
Yeah.
Wait, everybody
there's no like grounding for it in the Bible. Yeah. So like, where are they getting these ideas from?
Oh my goodness.
Joyce Meyer, Joel Osteen.
Yeah.
TBN.
Yes. Oh,
Hillsong, Bethel.
Yep. That's what it is. And when you're in those groups, you don't hear about it. But I love, this is like probably the third or fourth time I've heard somebody who grew up like in the Reformed faith. That's the opposite. That's like, we were able to protect our church from these.
That's so
heresies.
Awesome. Do you still go to the same church that you grew up in, or where are you going now?
I currently go to a Baptist church, which I think in the U.S. they have the Southern Baptist denomination, right? So I think it would be kind of similar, but it's not called Southern Baptist where we are.
So. Okay, right. Yeah. We have so many different Baptists.
I was wondering about, like, when we were listening to your testimony, what was like the breaking point for you? Like, whenever you're growing up in church, obviously you have family members that are believers. But was it whenever you entered high school where you were, high school is where you got pulled out. So like when you left high school and you were home, was that where you kind of had like some time to like reflect and really think about these deep things? Or what was the point where everything's crashing on you?
Yeah, it was actually in grade 9. That was the first year that I wasn't in my Christian school, but I was still going to a independent school. So I wasn't like completely homeschooled by then, but by going to an independent school, and it was run it was flexible like a homeschool.
Oh, cool.
So I was able to go to another class with the church that I'm actually attending right now.
Oh, neat.
And it was about Christian worldview. And that class was extremely challenging for me because I was forced to think about these things and to think critically and not just like take everybody's word for it kind of thing. So that was that got the gears turning, I would say. And
that's cool.
Then I honestly don't know really what point in high school I got saved, but I do say in explaining how I think I got saved, before in elementary school, I would have called myself a Christian, but I don't think there was fruit of that. Like once we're saved, we should be like having different signs. We should be showing it outwardly. But I didn't really have that. And then in high school, once I started thinking about these things more and really understanding what the gospel is, that was when I felt like, okay, I understand and I know what I believe now, and I can actually do something with it.
Yeah.
So actually, one of the resources that I wanted to share today that was like really instrumental in getting me to think as well. So
yeah. Awesome. Very cool. What's the resource?
Well, do you want me to list them right now, or should I?
What kind of resources are they?
They're awesome. She sent them to me in an email. They're amazing. Yeah, they're super cool.
Yeah, go through some of those.
You can go through them. Okay. I have a quick question though for you, real quick, before you go through those. As I was listening, I really want to point this out, and I love pointing this out. Becca and I both have very extreme testimonies, right? Like we both have a point where we can point to the exact moment where, and that happens whenever you're in a cult or you're in a cult-like situation. When you get the truth, when you hear the truth of the gospel, it can be such an extreme thing that it's like it hits you like a bus, you know. Where some people they're when you learn about it, you grow up, and I think a lot of believers grew up in the church and they have wonderful, loving parents, and they don't have that extreme testimony. They weren't on drugs, you know. They weren't in a cult. They weren't in a heretical church. They weren't worshiping an idol like I was. They weren't doing these things. It can be not disappointing, but it can be hard to share your testimony like that.
Because you feel like you almost don't have one or something.
Yes, exactly. But and I've heard from a lot of Christians that it's discouraging to them to hear, to deal with that. But that's why I love that testimony. That
but to us it's like amazing. Like you've never, have to experience that. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's exactly. When I think about my testimony, I am so grateful that I have this exact one, because I wasn't exposed to all these evils in the world.
Right.
Exactly.
Which, like, God, in His mercy, spared me from those things.
It was very merciful. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And also, your testimony, for those listening that did grow up in church, is something that should be more convicting to them. Because if I had grown up in church, just knowing my sinful flesh, how I was before I got saved, if I had grown up in church and I'd had that excuse where I could say, yeah, but I grew up in church, I've just always been a Christian, that would have been the excuse that I used. But whenever you hear someone who says, I also grew up in church, and let me tell you, there was no fruit, there was no evidence of salvation, and God graciously saved me, I hope that would really convict any listeners that would say, well, wait, I don't have any fruit. And that's why God does things the way that He does it. We need all of the body of Christ. We need all of the testimonies. We need to hear it all. It's all a miracle that God can raise somebody from the dead in our sins and trespasses.
It really is.
It's miraculous. It's amazing. We don't need signs and wonders. We can have the miraculous right here when we hear the testimony of someone who you had every excuse not to consider these things. Like you were already doing everything that you could. You were already trying to be perfect. You were already trying to be the best student and excuse me, and the best child and all that stuff. And so when God pushed you off of your horse on the way to Damascus, that's just as dramatic. It's just as miraculous, and I love that. So thank you for that, for sharing your testimony. And so the question I was going to ask is actually, what was your parents' reaction whenever you when this happened to you and you came to them about it?
So like when I started thinking about these things, or
all of the above.
Okay. Well, it was very gradual. So again, like I can't really pinpoint a time, but it has been interesting over the years And probably increasingly over the last, 6 months maybe, or something like that, I've been asking a lot more questions, and even like sort of, this may sound bad, but like challenging my parents to understand what they believe and why they do some of the things they do, why our family does some of the things they do. And I think they've been encouraged and hopefully strengthened in their faith by my kind of questioning and thinking about these things a lot more. Like, I bring up theology, I bring up what I've been learning about God. So I feel like I could say our household is a bit more like Christian in a sense. I'm not sure quite what the right word is, but it's more obvious that like this is what our family is moving towards.
Right.
That it's not just like, oh, we're Christians and we basically do everything else that everyone else does.
Right.
But, it is different. It's a different atmosphere. It's a totally different environment than what I've seen in other Christian households. So
That's awesome. I know I'm always encouraged whenever Kayla asks me questions, like, and I tell this to anyone who will listen. There are so many times whenever she says things that I'm like, you're 8, and I never think as deep as you just thought. Like, as soon as I got saved, I think that God really uses our children. It's such a blessing that when I got saved, she was 4, and she had never asked me a single theological question before. But as soon as I got saved, all of a sudden the questions started pouring out of her, like questions at like 4 years old. We called Satan at the time the bad angel. She was 4, and she was trying to like keep it from being too scary, And I remember when she asked me, Mommy, where does the bad angel go? Where is he going to go? If we go to heaven, where's the bad angel going to go? And I had never had that conversation. She didn't know that there was a hell or anything like that. She was 4. She'd never heard of that. The things like, Mommy, if God flooded the whole world, were there babies? Were there children? Like questions like that we've been able to like really get deep into. Mommy, if God knew Adam and Eve was going to fall, why did he put the fruit there? Like why did he put the tree there anyways? And things like that have been like so deep to me as a new believer whenever I was like a baby Christian.
Totally. Yeah.
I don't know. We'll find out together, things like that. And even just coming to me and telling me things about like, Mommy, I thought this thought and it was a sinful thought, and I just want you to know that I'm sorry that I thought this sinful thought. And I walk away thinking like, I don't ever think about what I'm thinking about. And here's my little God. Yeah. And so I love how God uses that to really bless the families and everything, the children, when they ask questions like that. I'm sure it is really challenging and encouraging. It should be challenging. We should be challenged at all. Anytime Definitely. I read something like a challenging question from an atheist, I get a lot of not a whole lot of love from my atheist buddies out there. They're not really very happy about me talking about creationism versus evolution all the time. And but when they ask questions, it's really helpful to me. Like they're usually doing it in a sarcastic, snarky way, but it's actually really helpful and challenging, and it drives me
because oftentimes we don't think about these questions in our normal lives. So it is really actually good to hear people from other false religions presenting these questions, and then we are challenged to actually have our faith strengthened in finding out the answers. So
that's very cool. Have you had an experience, your family members yet, where have any of them said, well, wait a minute, I don't show any fruit, or has that been something that you've had to deal with yet?
I have had a few conversations, like deeper conversations with some people, but I've heard other people say this, that it's harder to witness to your family members than it is to like strangers. And I totally feel that because they knew me when I wasn't a Christian.
Right.
And now they know me as a Christian. Also, I think because it was such a gradual thing of my understanding of the gospel. then it wasn't like an immediate, like one extreme to the other.
Right, yeah.
So they couldn't see that change in me so drastically. And I don't think it provokes a lot of questions on their end of things. Like, why are you so different? I wish it kind of would, but I think it really is a challenge that God has given me to minister to my family members and make sure that they know the true gospel.
Yeah, it's so true.
So true. I'm glad you mentioned that. It is so difficult to reach family members.
It is.
It's so hard to reach family because, like you said, they know you, like they grew up with you.
Mm-hmm.
And the excuse they can always use is just, well, everybody gets a little bit better when they get older, you know, she's maturing. Yeah, there's always an excuse for the flesh. But I did have one family member once say to me, I don't understand why God has made such a big change in your life, and I'm still struggling with the same stuff I've always struggled with. But I was such a baby Christian that I didn't know what to say back to that. I was like, yeah, that's weird. I don't know.
That's fruit. That's fruit.
I was like, I have no idea. I don't know. Maybe
that would be an awkward situation if someone says that. That would be really weird in general.
Yeah, I had no idea. It's like,
right? But, you know, this all reminds me of like Jesus in his hometown didn't have the same reaction as when he went other places because of their unbelief. And you're just the son of Mary and Joseph and, family. I have a totally different experience in terms of like the majority of our family is word of faith, but I still find it's the same thing. It's faith plus works equals their salvation.
Yeah.
And they don't want to hear that it's just salvation. It's a gift.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so hard. I find that to be hard as well.
So it's devastating too, because when you get saved, before you get saved, you don't think about it. You know, you're just like, everybody's fine. I'm fine. We're all good. Everything's great. Once you get saved and you start to think, wait a minute, are other people like I was? Are there people out there who are unsaved but don't realize it? And then you look around at your loved ones. You love these people. You don't want this to be something that happens to them, but then they won't listen to you.
Yeah, no, they don't. But they're blinded. That's the thing, that God's sovereign and he's blinding them.
Yeah.
From hearing right now, but we just keep going in grace and love.
Yeah.
And keep sharing.
So, Emma, I was going to ask you too, because you're younger, and so one of the things that I was going to ask you about is like, what advice would you give for people who are maybe even older brothers or sisters or older family members, if they're going to share the gospel with a high school age student or even someone who's maybe a young adult into the college stage? Like, what was helpful to you and what was not helpful to you whenever you were going through that process?
So like if they want to share the gospel with a high schooler, like how would they go about it? Is that what you're asking?
Right. Yeah. Like around that age, like when you said like 9th grade, that's kind of one of those age groups where like people start getting kind of sassy. It can get
right.
You know, like,
true though.
Maybe it might be a little bit harder and probably 100% harder for family members, I would imagine, like to reach their kiddos and loved ones. But what would be a great way for
that's good.
Out?
How do parents reach out to kids? Oh, I love that.
Well, I definitely, if I can address the parents, I would say like talk about these deep issues with your kids. Like it doesn't really matter how old they are, I mean within reason, but like as long as they know that you are available to talk about these things, and if they do have questions, they need to be able to know that they can come to you to ask them. And even if you may not have the answer, and that's just fine, you can look for the answer together, and that's fine. Don't worry about that. But I think it is so important that we lay a foundation of what is the true gospel. Like, explain that you are in sin and why that is a problem, and then give them the good news that Jesus Christ has come to save, and his death atones for our sin, and his righteousness can now be credited to us. And then we once we understand that, then we can actually have an appreciation for what Christ did and what Christianity even is.
Yeah.
Because like, if we don't have that fundamental truth, then it's just another religion.
Right.
Then it's like, why choose Christianity? Why not go to Islam or Mormonism or Hinduism, whatever?
That's a good
point.
Know? Yeah.
And I think that's probably kind of where I was at before. Like, it just sounded, Christianity sounded like, oh, I guess must be the best one out there, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But in reality, it's the only one.
Yes.
That's the only true religion. All the others are false.
Yeah.
So it's not just the best, it's the only.
Right. Oh, I love that. All the others are just completely false. That's really good advice. I love that.
That's so true.
I think we need more people that are willing to talk to even young people when they have questions and not be annoyed or don't talk down.
Yes.
You know, don't treat them like they're just understand it. And definitely, like, I love what you're saying about if you don't know it, learn it together. That's a great idea. It opens up the opportunity for them to ask more questions like that. But, So speaking of that, what are the resources you had mentioned? Because we kind of got...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
I love people sharing resources.
Yeah.
I love that.
That helped you when you were going through this?
Yeah. So while I was still in high school, I came across very randomly, I honestly believe this was the providence of God that brought me to this. But I came across some Wretched YouTube videos from the channel Wretched.
Nice.
Yeah. And at first I was like, what is this? This sounds kind of bad. Like, Wretched? Why? Why is their name Wretched? Like, this it doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
But I watched one video and I was like, okay, this is like piquing my interest a little bit. And I watched another one and another one, and I would spend like all night watching these YouTube videos. I couldn't, at first I couldn't really understand what was drawing me to them, because before I was not really interested in these things. But as I got into it, and it's probably been, I want to say 2 or 3 years since I've come across them.
Oh, okay.
Then I've listened to the radio podcast, Wretched Radio, and it has really, really helped me with learning how to discern properly.
Oh, yeah.
And getting me thinking critically about these things.
Yeah.
That was extremely instrumental, because before I was taking pastors at their word, I was taking trusted teachers at their word. I just took it at face value, and I was like, oh, well, I mean, I trust them, so I guess what they have to say must be correct.
Right, yeah. Why would anybody lie?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Seriously.
And now I know, like, they may not even be trying to lie. They may just not know the truth, right?
Yeah, sure.
They may still be deceived. So that was really helpful. I highly recommend their resources. And I mean, you don't even have to agree with everything they say. Just like, get your mind thinking about these things. That's the main thing. Okay, and so the next one I have is Living Waters YouTube videos. That was another one where I came across it, I think, around the same time as I found the Wretched YouTube videos. And that really helped to equip me and embolden me in evangelism. It felt like, okay, this isn't such a scary thing. You can calm down, like, just get those basics into your mind. Like, it broke it down in a really simple way, so it's not this big complicated thing like, I have to evangelize. What do I do?
Yes. Yeah, it's really scary. Yeah.
It is when you don't feel like you're ready for it, or like you have all the information that you need. But yeah, I think, and also, like, you just be honest when you're evangelizing. Like, if you don't know all the answers, then just say, like, I don't actually know that answer, but I'll look it up, and if you want to keep in contact, then I can send it to you.
Yeah. He does a great job of bringing it back to the gospel too. Whenever he does, like, I don't know about that, but what we're talking about here is more important anyway. So,
yeah, that's true. He doesn't like let them get on a big rabbit trail kind of thing.
Yes. I'm not good at that. I struggle with that so bad.
Oh, I know.
So bad. I gotta work on it.
Yeah.
I love the rabbit trail.
I get that. And then the next thing that I have is, I would suggest it definitely for younger Christians who need to get a good grasp on what the gospel is. And also,
could you say that name again? Sorry, I think it cut out.
I haven't.
Oh, okay.
So
sorry.
I'm going to be suggesting the book of Romans.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
In the Bible, which I would say that would be great for younger Christians who need to get a good grasp on what the gospel is, and also as a introduction into studying theology, because it's a really like deep and like heavy book. There's like, it's rich. It's very rich. And that's actually kind of why I say it's my favorite book of the Bible, because it's like got the basics, like, and so much, it's got so much information that we need for understanding the basics of our faith and the gospel. Really, really, really like that book.
I do too. I think it's Dr. Steve Lawson that says if the Bible is a wedding ring, then Romans is the diamond on top.
Yes. And then it's like Romans 8 is like the point or something.
Yes. Yeah. Like the shiniest point or something like that. Yes. I love that. That is such a great description of it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And then I also have a bonus resource,
bonus.
Which I hope a bunch of the listeners will already know about, the American Gospel film. It has been really helpful for me in particularly understanding the difference between Christianity and something like Roman Catholicism, which, you know, kind of has these little parts of Christianity, and they might call themselves Christians, but you need to evaluate, does what they believe actually line up with the Bible? And so that was excellent. I think they had like a little graphic in the film that was like right on. I needed that for understanding what the differences were.
Yeah, I love that film. That's a good option. I'll put a link to it too below, so if anybody wants to get down there, they can go and see it. They're coming out with a second one.
Yes.
It's gonna be so exciting. Very cool.
That will be good.
Yeah, those are great resources. I love that.
Yes, I love those. I love hearing from other people what encouraged them.
Yeah.
When they were first coming to the truth. Yeah, I love it.
Absolutely. And there's so many resources today. I was just listening to a different podcast, and one of the ladies said, why listen to bad teachers? There's we have so much.
You can listen to good ones.
Yeah. They said it's actually the women at the table. She said, why listen to poopy teachers?
Yeah, to poopy teachers.
You can tell they have little kiddos.
Oh yeah.
It's so funny, but that's some great resources.
I have some questions for you. So, like, what's coming up next for your blog, and do you have any projects coming up?
Oh, that's a great question.
Oh, yes, that is a good question. So right now, I'm actually currently going through a series about how to honor God in our daily life, and so I actually just published a blog post yesterday, which was kind of introducing some of the questions you can ask yourself in order to figure out like the practicals of honoring God, and like really making your life all about glorifying Him.
Yeah.
So that's been actually a really exciting project to do.
Wow, that's awesome, because that's such a sign of maturity of wanting to honor God throughout our life and just our daily activities, and that's so awesome that you're doing that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't even understand how to do it. So, like, I've had somebody ask me that, like, how am I even supposed to honor God? Like, what? how would I even go about doing it? So I think that's really great. I love that teaching. Yes. I'll link to that too below so that our listeners can get that. That's some really good teaching right there.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And that's exactly where I was. Like actually just earlier this year, I had this question of like, I know the Bible says that I should be glorifying God in all things, but I really don't understand how to. Like it I couldn't make that connection. But then when I was on this trip to a friend's farm, then I was actually able to read a bunch of books and think through things. And it really helped me to understand that I need to be honoring God with like my thoughts, with my eating, drinking, and my work and my play, my recreation, in my relationships with my siblings, with authorities. So it came alive to me there. And that was super exciting. And I just wanted to share it with everybody else because I had the question. So I'm sure that other people got to have it, right? So
I love that. Yeah. We all get to grow together like that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And even just that goes back to that deep thinking logically, thinking about these things, working it through. Don't just brush it off. Don't ignore it.
Yeah.
If you're wondering how to honor God, really consider it, because we are supposed to do that in all of the things that you just listed. And so, and it goes back to, it trickles into even like Christian liberty. If you don't understand what honoring God is, then you're not going to understand what Christian liberty to do. Yeah, because if you can't do these things and be thankful for them and thank God and honor Him through it, then you shouldn't be doing them. So that's really a great. I love that series. I'm really excited about that.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Yes.
So funny.
Yes.
So adorable. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna put you in my pocket and teach me with me.
I know.
So what about the future for your blog? Are you thinking about any books to write or anything like that? Or are you settling into this? Oh, you do have book ideas?
I do. And it really has come from this series.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And so I'm really thinking about like writing an in-depth book about like all the different areas in our lives that we should be honoring God with.
I like that.
And I think it will be like, it's still just an idea, right? But I think it could really be a good challenge for probably teenagers or young adults, especially.
Oh, awesome.
Who are in the church, but they could already be Christians or they could not already be Christians. I think either way, it would provide a good challenge to be like, okay, why do you think we need to honor God? Is that something that you should be doing? And how can you do that?
Right.
And I think that's something that really needs to be addressed, at least from where I was coming from. I didn't feel like there was a lot of in-depth resources like that. So
right. Yeah. No, I agree 100%. That's going to be really great. We have a lot of like fluffy stuff. I think we were talking about that in message the other day, especially aimed towards women. Most of it's really, really soft, fluffy, happy, joy, smiley face stuff.
No kidding.
We need some more hard stuff. We're all starving for it.
Right.
Women want to learn theology too.
Yes.
Yeah.
We want to go deep too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Becca, do you have any more serious questions before we get into our shenanigans?
No, I'm ready. I'm ready for shenanigans.
Are you? Okay, because I thought of a really fun surprise question for Emma. But Emma, before we do you have any other
things you want to say?
Boxes or anything else?
Oh, yeah. I guess I'll just let everybody know that if they haven't already subscribed to my email list,
yes, you have to do that, guys. Super fun.
That is hopefully a really great resource for you, where I share reflections from my own life. And I'll also share other resources which have been really helpful to me. And there's quite a few possibilities for that. So I end up sending in an email every Sunday, which is called Letters for His Glory. And I really hope that is an encouragement, a weekly encouragement to actually start out the week. That's why I did it on Sunday.
I like that. I'll put a link to it below too, for the listeners to get to.
That would be great.
Yeah, and I love that too. Like just getting that little bit of encouragement and connection in the email, where you can kind of connect to another believer. And
I know, I love it. I do check my email, and I'm like, oh yeah, I got something from Emma. And I can go into her blog and read it.
So much fun. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I'll get this out of here if you don't like it, but just like it's really super professional looking. Like
it is.
That's why I was so surprised. But whenever I saw your face, I was like, she doesn't look old enough to be doing that kind of professional work.
So funny.
This looks really good. Like what kind of nonsense?
Her blogging skills are coming into play here.
It's awesome.
That's really funny. Yeah,
it looks really good.
Thank you.
So I do have a surprise question for you, and this is so exciting.
I have one too.
Do you really? Oh
I do.
God. You get too surprised. You're that special.
Too. Yeah,
because special is Emma.
Because Emma's the first one we've interviewed together.
Yes. That's true.
Like together.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't figure out how to do it with the other software that we were using. I think I went first last time though. I think it's your turn.
Okay, it's my turn. Okay. What's the craziest thing on your bucket list?
Oh, that's a good question.
Do you have a bucket list?
Oh. Okay. Well, it's not going to be very crazy, but okay, never mind. I think I would like to go skydiving.
Oh, that is crazy. I could never do it.
Really crazy.
That's pretty crazy. It is.
That is really crazy.
Wow. That would be cool. Do you think that you'd get up there and really be able to do it?
I think I'd be terrified, like, at that moment.
Do you want to do it by yourself, or do you want to do it, like, what do they call it?
With
when
the
you have someone on you?
instructors?
Yeah, like someone on you.
Oh, I think I was under the impression that you have to have someone strapped to you.
You can do it by yourself.
Like
you have to do training. Yeah, you can get trained to do it.
Take a class, yeah.
Yeah, you can get trained to do it. It's a little more expensive and scarier.
Yeah, well, with that, then I'd probably just do it with somebody else.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'm not paying more money.
Yeah. I love Emma's thought on that. I like that. Me too. I would go with the cheaper one.
Oh, the cheaper option, 100%. Yeah. Becca, what is your craziest thing on your bucket list?
Oh, wow. I don't even know. I mean,
wow.
It definitely would not be skydiving. I mean, mine would just be like traveling.
Like a place to go. That's
cool. Traveling, backpacking Europe.
Oh, yeah.
And like staying with people that I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
You know what I mean? Like really backpacking.
Yeah.
That's backpacking Europe.
Then you could share the gospel.
Please
don't share
the gossip.
You heard it here, guys. Tulips and honey to share the gospel.
I am not encouraging people to sin. Don't do that.
No, the gospel. I hear you, but that's so crazy. I would not do that. I would just go on a cruise and port it like a normal person.
That's so funny. I would think
what about you? What's your craziest thing?
So it'll never happen.
Right.
But the bucket list craziest thing would be that I really want to go to outer space. I just think that.
Oh, yeah. Elon Musk can make that happen for you.
Only $250,000, guys.
Yeah.
Where are you at, Patreon?
Would you do it if we got that donation?
Oh my goodness, I'd be up there in a heartbeat. I'd be terrified though. I'd like write my will.
So Tulips and honey can be in space, guys. Seriously.
Tulips and honey.
At least one of us.
Tulips
can be in space.
Tulips, yes. You're not coming with me, honey? What's going on?
It's 500,000, and then
Oh, that's true. That's $500,000.
Let's have.
We could buy a jet with that. We could be cruising and.
We could buy a jet. No, we couldn't buy a jet. No, we couldn't buy a jet.
Is it not? No, they're like
no. Probably cost more.
We could buy it.
They're like
probably like a small Cessna plane.
Small snow plane. We could buy a
Cessna plane
in a jet.
Yeah, right. I know.
That's so bad.
Like forever, maybe.
Yes.
But what's your question? What's our question for? I'm so curious.
Yeah, that was a really good one, though. Mine's not going to be that awesome. I was just wondering what is the weirdest thing that Americans do that like Canadians see differently. Because like sometimes we call foods different and things like that.
Yeah, what's like the weirdest or the top 5 weirdest things?
Yeah.
Oh, that one's putting me on the spot.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it does seem a little bit weird to me that I don't know if this is just, it's like playing on the stereotype thing, where Canadians are like the ones who always say sorry all the time.
Oh yeah.
And then Americans are just like rude or something.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I've actually seen that.
Okay, so you think that's weird?
It does seem like I haven't seen the stereotype in real life.
I have to agree. I was like, I think Canadians are nice. I think Americans are really nice. I've been to countries where people are not nice. Like,
yeah.
I won't even say where.
Don't offend me.
I will not. But I mean, yeah, I'm glad you said that. That makes
that's really
happy.
cool. Yeah.
Wait, is there anything weird that we say that's just odd?
It is weird that I say about strangely.
Yeah, it's weird that you say it strangely.
I don't. So how do you think I say it?
You say about, so you're rounding that O-U-T at the end instead of we just about, and you're saying about.
That's
do you
so
hear the
weird.
difference? Do you hear the difference?
I hear it like very slightly.
You are rounding that vowel way more than we are.
Yeah. So what about bag? How do you say bag?
Bag.
Okay.
Bag,
In Bismarck, they say big with an
yes.
And I thought maybe it was like because they're so close to Canada, they say big.
Yeah, I had
want me to put these groceries in a bag for you? Oh yeah, here you go. There's your groceries. Here in a bag for you.
I've never. Wow. Nope. That's not where I am. At least.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I'm glad it didn't come from Canada because it's super dorky.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Are there any weird Canadian words that I can't even think? Like, I heard you say.
What about
process.
toque?
What does toque mean?
Took.
Toque is toque.
What does that mean?
Toque.
Are you saying I took something?
Oh no.
What's toque?
It's a hat. It's a winter hat.
Oh,
okay.
So is there any weird food, Emma, that's American that you find odd? You're like, you guys fry pickles.
Oh, well, I've seen that here too.
Oh, cool.
Right, okay.
I think, like, there's a lot of weird things that I've seen here. But what do you guys think of poutine? I've heard that
I was going to ask about that. I was totally going to ask about that because they serve it in Bismarck, and I've never tried it. But yeah,
what is this? I don't know what this is.
Okay,
so
it's like,
yeah, you go ahead. You're the Canadian. You go ahead.
So I should know. I'm the expert, right?
Yes.
So it's basically a bunch of fries, and they put gravy on top, and then sometimes they'll do cheese curds as well. And so it's like all melted together, and it's kind of sloppy.
Do you like it?
Yeah. I don't eat it because I'm a weird person and I eat mostly just healthy food.
Nice. I don't like gravy, so well, I don't eat French fries, so.
What? Oh my goodness!
I know.
I'm American.
I know. I'm not. I'm not American anymore. I don't eat French fries. I do like pizza. Apparently, I like pineapple on my pizza.
Me too.
Yay!
Oh no!
Yay!
Oh, I'm outnumbered today.
Yes.
We decided.
It's the sweet and savory, right, Emma? It's the sweet and savory.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gourmet.
Like
it's gourmet, people.
Gourmet.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
It's gourmet. It's sweet and savory.
3 people that I've had on the podcast that like it, and I need to start just asking everyone like a prerequisite before you come on the program.
Yes.
That is so awesome.
Yes.
Wow, I love that. Oh my goodness. Okay, so those were our fun questions. I have a word for today. Becca, do you have a joke?
Oh, so the joke for today is the meme that we just posted yesterday. It's from Fight Club scene, and Brad Pitt's like, you know, that part where he's the first rule about Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. So the first rule in Calvinism is you don't talk about Calvinism, and it is like going viral on Instagram, and it is hilarious.
I love it.
And, yes, it's like one of the first things you learn as a new believer. Yeah, that you can't talk about it.
You keep it to yourself. Nobody wants to hear about that.
Yes. You just have like a select few that you talk about it with. Yeah.
Yes.
But
I
I love
whenever you meet them, you get excited because you're like,
big time.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, it's like so
Big
much
time.
fun.
It's like,
Yes.
wait, you're a Calvinist? You're my best friend.
Yes,
I know.
funny. That is so true. When you see them post like, R.C. Sproul stuff or something like that, you're like, oh, maybe, maybe.
Yeah.
So my word for today, I thought would be a really, really good one because Emma mentioned it earlier. So it is the word providence. The etymology of providence is actually, it's from Latin, from providere or providentia. It kind of got mixed with some like old French whenever it got switched over to English. So provide is the English portion of it. And so providence started to be the word in like the late middle kind of English time frame. And so the original meaning in Latin would be like to foresee or to attend to like make it happen. So like when we say the providence of God, what the original meaning of it was like that he's attending to it. Like he's already foreseen that's going to happen. He's attending to making it happen. I just thought that was so much fun.
Yes.
There you go. Now you know providence.
And it makes me think of, I always heard that word in Anne of Green Gables, which is Canadian, guys.
Oh,
and
look at you go.
Hear that. Look at that connection.
Brought it all together.
I love that Emma talking about providence.
I want to use it more, like in everyday language.
Yeah, I love
By
it.
the providence of God. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And thank you, Emma, for coming on the program and talking to us today. I know this was a little bit out of your comfort zone, but you did a great job. I'm super impressed.
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so blessed to have this opportunity because it really is taking me out of my comfort zone. I never would have done this before. Like that would be just
Right.
But, God has really helped me and given me a lot of victories over my anxiety, and so this is just a testament to how far he has brought me.
Praise God. Praise God.
Very cool. And we'll continue to pray for you and all of your new projects and everything and that anxiety. We really appreciate you coming on the program, and you were so gracious and kind to join us for our shenanigans.
Thank you so much. That is a major encouragement to me.
Oh, I'm so glad, sister. And thank you for joining us. God bless you, sister. We'll talk to you a little later.
Yeah. God bless you, sister.
Bye.
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 Thanks for listening, Humblebees. This is Tulips and Honey. Over and out.
I think that diamond still needs a little more polish.
Yeah.